progress to make humans happier and more free. So these are their efforts. And the idea of this term enlightenment was a term that was fundamental to an essay by a German writer, thinker, philosopher, who basically asked, what is enlightenment? What is that actually? And so we're going to kind of go through some of the main people who contributed to what we call the Enlightenment and understand what their ideas are, how they're influential. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to talk a lot before you write anything down. And you may have written their names down already. So you need to pay attention, right? So if you're at home and you're struggling, go throw cold water on your face. Because the things that are getting explained today, you're going to have trouble getting them explained like this anywhere else. Well, that's all honest, right? If I had to say, if you had to attend one class this year, that was all you could attend, this would be the class I picked. Exactly. Isn't it amazing?
Mr. Pendleton?
Life throws curveballs that way. Yes, Larissa.
I'm confused right now because I was just going through my folder and I found this note-taking study guide and it says Chapter 16, Section 1. That's like the first page. But I thought I already turned it in.
I don't think you did turn it in.
So, like, I didn't give it to you and you already gave this back? Like, I just didn't turn this in?
I didn't give it back to you. You just never turned it in.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I must have turned in the last one by accident then.
What do you mean?
Like, the last unit. I think I turned that one in by accident.
Okay.
Do you want me to, like, email you this?
Larissa, like, this is not the time for us to have this discussion.
Well, when is I supposed to have it?
I don't know. Like, sometime when you can, like, meet me and you're not taking up valuable class time. I can't help, like, where you don't know where you have things or what you've handed in or anything like that.
All right, I'll just email it.
So, I don't remember what I was.
You're saying how important this class is.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and explain who these guys were, what they thought, what they expressed. And then there's going to be different points where I ask you questions. And you just need to be ready to get them. Okay? So you're not going to necessarily know the answers to these types of questions. So anything that you can suggest is going to be helpful. Yeah, Larissa, I haven't given you credit for that, so you just never handed it in.
Okay.
All right. Somebody want to get the lights for me, please? All right. So, Thomas Hobbes was an Englishman living in the early 1600s to mid 1600s. And Thomas Hobbes was actually like the assistant or the secretary to a guy named Francis Bacon. Do we remember what Francis Bacon contributed to
the chemistry
world history?
Science,
yes. He was an important part of the scientific revolution, right?
Yeah.
He and Isaac Newton were the two main English guys we focused on. But Francis Bacon, along with someone else, Rene Descartes, they were like the forefathers of what? what did they kind of develop and got merged into?
The scientific method?
Scientific method, yes. Francis Bacon is seen as one of the original founders of the scientific method. So Thomas Hobbes has a scientific background, influenced by Bacon's ideas and works and things like that. And Hobbes, ultimately, his life, because he lives during, is greatly affected by
I was wrong.
the
He's not
geopolitical
the
conflicts
thinking of someone else.
of the early and mid 1600s,
It
particularly
was some guy
the
named
30
like
Years'
Robert.
War.
Oh, it was Robert Boyle, dude. That's why.
And the English
I was
Civil War.
wrong.
And he hears about what's going on in Europe with the 30 Years' War, and then he sees with his own eyes what happens during the English Civil War. And when the English Civil War comes to an end, Charles has been executed, Parliament has taken over. Hobbes kind of gets all of his thoughts and ideas and observations down and puts them in a paper, and it eventually gets published. And it's published in a work called Leviathan. Have any of you heard that word before, Leviathan? Because it's not just, it's a word that can be used to describe things as well, right? It's a noun. Anybody know what a Leviathan is? Huh? Okay. What would be characteristics of this mythical creature? It's large, powerful, imposing, overshadowing, right? So he uses the term Leviathan to describe what he sees as the government that people need and deserve. And he kind of describes this Leviathan as almost like a giant sea monster. Because the British people, they live on an island. The sea is very important to them. So the idea of the Leviathan is like this giant sea monster that's powerful and so forth. So Hobbes, in Leviathan, he's looking to do a couple of things. He's coming to look at, he wants to understand, where do governments come from? Why is government necessary? Right? What is the purpose of government? And what happens if government isn't working? Right? And so these are the things that he explores and discusses and analyzes. Now, the basis for Hobbes' work is, what was human life like before government? What was human life like before there were any laws and things like that? Okay? And he refers to that situation as the state of nature. In the state of nature, humans are completely free. Humans have what, they will call natural rights. The rights that every human is born with. Right? A later philosopher we're going to talk about, John Locke, defines them as life, liberty, and property. Those are the natural rights. Thomas Jefferson will change property to pursuit of happiness. So in the state of nature, humans are totally free. They have their natural rights. And there's no government. Okay? Now, Hobbes believes that he has witnessed something very similar to the state of nature. He believes that the chaos and violence that he has both heard accounts of and witnessed to himself from the 30 Years' War and the English Civil War are reenactments of a sort of the state of nature. He believes that the state of nature is a state of war and chaos and suffering. Most famous line from the Leviathan is his